And welcome to Girl Got Faith's YouTube channel. I'm Lydia.
I'm Kemi.
I'm Belle.
And I'm Rachel.
In Girl Got Faith's new book, Discovering You, there's an amazing feature by Cheryl Fagan, and it really got us thinking about societal beauty standards and how we've navigated it. So today we're going to have a little talk about it.
Yeah, so we've got a jar of questions over here that we're going to address, have a chat about.
Yeah.
So let's just go for it. Okay. Right, you ready?
Yeah.
Why do we as society care so much about the way we look, and how can we start to change that?
That was a good
That's
start.
a good one.
I think why do we care so much about the way we look? I think a lot of it is because we're told to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're told that we should care about the way we look. It's just everywhere. It's every time we pick up our phones. It's constant. We are told that we should care about it.
Yeah, even like just ironing school uniform when
Yeah.
you're younger.
Yeah.
And just how you express yourself. Like, my mum used to tell me that, Kemi, you look like you don't want to be here, but I'm actually having a great time just staring into space, like imagining things. So it's literally just how we perceive, like first impressions and stuff like that has always been a thing.
Yeah.
So I guess it's natural to then, for that to be a thing that's built in us from a young age. And then it just gets out of hand, really. It gets out of hand.
Totally. I think it's also like from a biblical point of view, like goes all the way back to Adam and Eve, doesn't it? And like having that awareness of how we look and how we're presenting ourselves.
Yeah.
But obviously it is something that you can change, and it's something that you can get comfortable with being who you are and not like worrying about what other people think of you all the time.
And when you think about social media as well, it's about engagement.
Yeah.
So it's like if something looks appetizing, something looks
Aesthetically pleasing.
exactly aesthetically pleasing, it needs to engage the person within 2 seconds or they're swiping on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of the mentality we've approached.
Yeah.
But is that a good thing? Like, how do we start to change that?
I think it's just bit by bit every day. I think it's really difficult to just have an automatic, mindset or mind change.
Yeah.
And, some days you feel great and then some days you don't. And I think we just start the little bits of just like, you know what, I feel great today. Just like the small little increments that we have of just how we feel. And I think, our Bible tells us that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. And I think once we really just accept that in our hearts of, you know what, maybe I don't feel it, but my Bible tells me. And it's, I think, not going based on feeling, but going based off knowing, knowing truth and knowing, God's heart and how he cares for us. And so, I mean, that's personally what's helped me anyway. It's just knowing that, okay, I might not feel great today, but I know that I'm fearless. I know that I'm going to be, wonderful today. Like, despite, if my hair looks great or if I've got my eyebrows done, which I haven't. It's one of those things where I really just had to accept it. And I know currently, the fad is that, feathered brows are in, big bushy. So, thank God. They're in, but it's things like that where I realise I don't want to love my bushy brows because society told me. I want to love my bushy brows because it's what God gave me.
Exactly.
So it's like little things like that. I'm like, okay, can't fix everything today, but I can just focus on one thing to be like, you know what, I'm happy with this, I'm gonna accept this, and it doesn't matter what trends are in or not.
Yeah.
I guess that's like the start of it, isn't it? It's like once you recognise that society's trying to tell you that you have to be this way, you can start breaking it down like every morning to be like, okay, I don't need to be like that. I don't need to like have a tiny waist and a massive bum to be beautiful because I am how God made me.
Exactly.
But it's something that you have to keep reminding yourself of all the time. It's not just like, one-time thing.
Yeah, it's definitely an inside-out thing.
Yeah,
because
100%.
what would stop you from looking in the mirror first before you like looked within first? What stops you from getting up and like thinking, how am I feeling emotionally, mentally, spiritually, before you then go to the mirror and be like, how am I looking?
Wow,
do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So I feel like what you said was really great, Rach, and even what you said, Lydia, it's actually about knowing where you want to start, and then you actually start focusing, wait, what do I think about myself? Oh wait, no, what does God think about me?
Exactly.
And then if you get, because actually it's not a bad thing to love how you look, it's not a bad thing to care about what society says, because you need to know. Exactly, you need to know what's going on around, but actually when you get those priorities right, it's world changing. And I feel like
I love that, getting your priorities straight. What does God think? What do I think? And then everything else
just follows through.
That's amazing.
So good.
Thanks, guys.
Shall I take a question?
Yeah.
You should.
Shall I do it? Okay. What does a healthy relationship with my body really mean and look like?
We were talking about this earlier, Kemi.
Were we? Oh yeah.
I think for me, having a healthy relationship with my body, I think a lot of it is about knowing what my body does, and that its primary purpose and its primary worth isn't on what it looks like while doing it.
That's so good.
Like
That's
our
very
bodies
true.
literally give us a way to experience everything, every good thing, and yet all society tells us to care about is, but does it look good while doing that?
Yeah.
You know,
So
and
true.
I think loving our bodies is really important, of course it is, but loving it for the right things, for what it gives to us, for what it sustains, like for what it means we can experience. I think just putting our emphasis on that, and kind of what you said, well, I think you kind of all said it earlier, but like that might start small. I feel like sometimes we like have like one of these chats with our friends and it's amazing, and then we wake up the next day and we're super discouraged because we don't love ourselves. But then I know that that's I do that, but then I was thinking about that Bible verse that says, like, don't hate the small beginnings, because God loves to see the work begin. And I just think that in these things, just don't hate every tiny little decision to like have a healthy relationship with your body is a massive victory. Never discount every tiny decision, every tiny, word you speak over yourself, every tiny conversation, because God is cheering those things on.
Yeah. That's so good.
I think especially like when it comes to having a healthy relationship with your body and what it looks like, for me, it's all about balance. It's like, well, actually, we are, like our bodies are temporary, and it's not like something that we need to put all of our focus on, but also our bodies, like we are called to steward our bodies in a way and to look after them. But it's like finding a balance where you're like not putting too much emphasis on your body, but also like looking after it and like keeping it healthy, not like feeding yourself with junk all the time, but then also not being completely obsessed with what you're eating. So it's just like finding that balance, and like you said, that's something that you have to do every day and keep reminding yourself of.
That's so true.
I think something I learned personally for me is just listening to my body. Listening to, I think, with relationships, I mean, number one is like, we need to be communication. What is my body trying to tell me? And I used to suffer really badly with anxiety, and I used to look at it like it was the enemy, like, because my body would do things that my mind was, trying to be calmed down, and my body wouldn't calm down. And I was getting so frustrated and angry with my body because it wasn't, lining with what I wanted it to do, until I had to have a moment and just pray and be like, God, why isn't it listening to me? Like, is it my flesh? Is it not obeying my spirit? Like, is this the battle between flesh and spirit? But I really had to change my perspective and realize that my anxiety, my body was letting me know that I was uncomfortable. My body was letting me know that I'm not okay. And that's when I started shifting it. It's like, well, anxiety is not the enemy. It's telling me that something's not right. You're not comfortable. What needs to be done? Like, what can you do? And then it's just slowing everything down and be like, I'm listening to you, body. I'm listening. What's going on? What is it that you're not uncomfortable? Like, what is it that's making you feel uncomfortable? And from then I started really just, it's like a massive blank canvas, and be like, okay, this, and this, and this. Oh, but I also don't like that. And I don't like the way that, it could be anything. And so that's what I felt for me personally. It's just having that healthy communication with your body. What do you need? what can I give you? How can I help you? Do you know, how can I best steward this body that God has given me? Because he didn't just give us a mind and a soul, he gave us, you know, a body too. So, you know, that's for me basically how I have a good relationship.
I love what you said about the mind and the soul and the body, because that's literally while you were saying that, I was like, it dawned on me, it's like the body's a physical expression of those other two. And obviously they all work together and they're all important. And so the body's like a physical expression of all of those. How you approach your body, how you connect to your body is what helps you navigate the others essentially. Or it's good practice at least, because it's like, if someone breaks their leg, and they like take a paracetamol or pop an ibuprofen, you're like, oh, I think you need to go and see a doctor, do you know what I mean? And it's like just simply pain receptors. There are some people, I read in Metro ages ago, but there are people who just don't have pain receptors. And for some it's like, oh, amazing, you don't have to feel like it's sick, you can just go about your life, live your dreams, like skydive. But it's like, no, because if you have a real bad issue with your body, you're not going to know because you don't have those pain receptors. So it's so important to be connected and to actually see your emotions for what they are. They're not, they're literal signals. A friend, the psychologist Anna Loback, spoke about how they're signals in your body telling you, hey, watch out for this, watch out for that, or you're feeling this, look at your surroundings. That's when you know you're in a weird relationship. That's when you know, oh, I need to get out of this situation. Whatever it looks like, or that's when you know, like, oh, this is a good thing, or, do you know? It just puts things into perspective, and I think it's so important to be connected with it and to be aware of it. And that's a really great question.
That is
a really good question.
Over to you.
Everyone ready to move on?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Will there always be something that I don't really like about the way I look?
I'd say probably, to be honest. I feel like there'll always be something that I don't love, that I would like to change, but I think the power you have then is, do you speak into that, or do you let that like speak over you? How much power do you give that? Does it matter? Does it hold you back? I think that is where we have the control, where we have the power, where we would need to, you know, take a bit of control over it. I don't know, what do you think?
I think that our bodies are always changing, especially as women. I mean, I've never had a baby, but I have some friends who've had babies, and how do we get to the position where our bodies are evolving and doing incredible things and shifting and changing with our environments like that, but then we stop and we're like, oh, I don't like this or I don't like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're fully functioning human and you're like, I don't like how my earlobes drop, and it's like, who cares? Do you know what I mean? Like, who cares? No one thinks about it. And it's just interesting how we can just find the little thing that we don't like and let it consume us.
It takes over.
It just takes over. And do you reckon it's highly based on comparison that kind of arises?
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Are we going to talk about it? Are we going to talk about the fads and phases?
Are we going to dive deep?
Are we going to dive deep into the phases of the body? Like the fads and the trends that come with body
it's
type
like
now.
you were saying earlier, like even culturally, like there's so many different ideas of what beauty actually is, that even if you were to take a plane around the world and look exactly the same but visit 100 different cultures, there would be moments when you're beautiful and you're not. So it's like a bit like what Rachel was saying, like, where is your beauty coming from? If you know that you're beautiful because God made you exactly how he wanted you to be made, then what society's saying about what's beautiful is pretty irrelevant.
That's more solid ground, isn't it?
100%.
I think, will there always be something? Maybe I like to live in a fantasy world, but I hope, and I wish I could come back to this video in like maybe like 5 years time or something, but there won't always be something, but there will, you know, I'll just be happy, you know? I think I don't want to get into this culture where there always has to be something else, like we can just be content, we can just be, you know, still. So yeah, me personally, will there always be something that I don't really like? No.
I agree.
I think you can be happy.
That's good for you, right?
All right, for Sam. That's such a beautiful moment.
Sorry. No, I'll tell you what though, I went to a performing arts school when I was growing up. 12 years old in a leotard and jazz flares. Don't try and picture it. Very, very interesting. But literally all of us at 11, 12 years old were looking at how we looked. Every Thursday and Friday we'd stand in front of a mirror and we'd assess how we looked, and I remember always being obsessed with it, always being like, oh, I like this, okay, cool. And literally I would like make my body in the way that I felt like it needed to be. Obviously you get told to suck in every flipping 5 seconds. So you just learn how to just do that. But then imagine like as you're evolving and changing as females, like your body's evolving and changing, and there were some people who unfortunately went through really difficult health stages, and some people who lost a lot of weight, and we were like, are you okay? And they're like, yeah, I'm fine. I've just like stopped eating potatoes or something. Yeah. So it's just so crazy how the body changes. And I remember being so obsessed at that time, and it was just a second nature to me to just care so much about how I looked. And then in hindsight, I went through a period where I just didn't think about it as much, because it's like, I think I got to the stage where it's like everyone finds different things beautiful, like go anywhere, like who cares? I don't care anymore, like I'm not thinking about it. So I agree, I think there could be a time when you don't, what is the question? Well, there always be
something that I don't really like.
Yeah, well, you're not actually thinking about it, hopefully. It's more often than not, and maybe the thing that you think about that you don't like in your body is the way it functions, and you want to change it as opposed to like how it looks or whatever, in a utopia.
Yeah. Well, cheers to utopia.
Cheers to utopia.
Right, so I pass the baton.
Okay. Right. How can we keep loving ourselves the way that we are / for who we are? Want me to read it again? Yeah.
I think you should, for the people at the back.
Yeah. How can we keep loving ourselves the way that we are and for who we are?
I guess it's a bit like what Belle was saying the other day, and actually like society tells us that our bodies are made to be beautiful, or like the way that we look is the most important thing. But to actually like appreciate our bodies for what they can do and how amazing they are is a great place to start. And I think like for me, I hate exercise, like any kind that's forced upon me. But over lockdown, I just started walking more, and not for any particular reason, just to like get out of the house and just to improve my fitness a bit. And actually, like, just as you start to walk, and then you realise, like, oh, walking's getting easier. I can like jog a bit. Oh, I can like actually maybe I'll do a little bit of a sprint.
Whoa, Lydia!
Maybe on there. But yeah, just appreciating your body. Like, it's so amazing that your body can do that, and it's such a privilege to have a working body that's like able to do things. That it's just like, go for it. Yeah. Like if we start there and like appreciate our body for what it can do rather than, like you said, what it looks like.
Yeah, well done.
It's just such like, it's a completely different mindset, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think having conversations like this, having conversations full stop, being surrounded by people who care about you, who you are, before people that see who you are and love you for that, and help you be better, but then also see that as the beauty. Imagine if whatever our bodies look like, when we feel great is when we feel beautiful. Do you know what I mean? I think that's so important, because it's like people are mirrors to each other, right? So when you get to know yourself through someone else, you either love or you hate it, but then also that's part of being human. We're not perfect right about now, at least, and we just work in our lives to try to be more decent. So it's so important to have safe environments where you can talk about stuff. That's how I found out about my friend that I was telling you about, Lydia, who went home and she was like, oh, they always talk about my weight when I go home. And I was like, oh, because you're so skinny. And she was like, no, they say that I'm fat. And I'm like, what? Because when I go home, they're saying I'm too skinny, or do you know what I mean? Because of the cultural difference. So it's in that conversation that I realised, oh, and then my horizons widen. So I get more informed, but then also I'm surrounded by a group of people that I can just speak to about how I feel about what I see of my body, and they can actually affirm you as well, or just give you a bit of a red flag, because sometimes you do eat too much. McDonald's, not too much, full stop, too much McDonald's, and you need to just chill.
So true. I think like who you surround yourself, like in not just like for beauty standards, but in any way, is so important. Because if you're with a group of girls or boys or whatever that is always talking about how they look, and I've been in that situation before, whereas like I'm quite curvy, and all these girls are like small, like tiny people, tiny people, like skinny, like just perfect, like in the way that they are. But they would always talk about, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that, and then you think to yourself, well, if you don't like that, what do you think of like what I'm going on? But actually, it's like being conscious of what you say, because like even if I'm like constantly like, oh, I don't like my stomach, or I don't like this, like the person next to you either might think theirs was fine and now they're worrying about it, or like
it's true.
It's just like being conscious of what you're saying, what you're speaking of yourself, and what other people are hearing as well.
That's so true, what other people are hearing.
I think for me, because the thing is, what's hard is that we know that the beauty standards, they're ever changing, and they're lies. Like if we just call them what they are, these beauty standards that are put on us, they're lies. But the problem is they're really convincing lies, and everyone around us believes them. And I honestly think that the only way that you can like defend yourself against them is when you actually know the truth. The lies become obviously lies.
Yeah.
And so the truth, again, if we just like go to the Bible, there's a verse, Ephesians 2:10. That
On screen.
yeah, on screen. That says that you are God's masterpiece.
Yeah.
And that word is so intentional. You are not his like doodle. You are not his first draft.
You doodle.
Like
You see those primary school pictures of things.
Yeah, you're just not like the author used the word masterpiece there, so that you could say, hang on now, if God says that I'm a masterpiece, then you telling me that I'm a first draft that needs to improve this, and this, and needs to change. That must be a lie.
Yeah,
because they can't both be true. So, but the only way that the lies sound like lies is when you are feeding yourself with the truth.
Yeah.
I'm a masterpiece. You can't tell me I'm a first draft.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's so true.
And I
It's
think
so
that's
true.
the ultimate way that you keep loving yourself. Because as soon as you stop feeding truth to yourself, the lies, they sound like the truth when we know that they're not.
That's so important.
I love that you said it. It reminded me, I feel like every morning I daily affirm myself, because I feel like if I don't, then the world's going to start doing it for me, you know? So I always start off with, I'm the head, not the tail, you know? And, you know, I'm a royal priesthood, and, you know, I'm part of the body of Christ, and I have a purpose and a plan, and, you know, it doesn't matter what my physical appearance may look like, but ultimately inside, am I doing the will of God? Like, am I serving him? Am I giving him my devotion? Am I giving him my time? And I'm not sure about you girls, but I feel like when I spend a lot of time in my word, or just, you know, just being present in worship or praying or just spending time with God, I feel better. And if I feel better, then automatically my perspective changes and I look better, you know? And I forget, I was fasting, and after I finished my fast, one of the kids that I teach at school, it was like, Miss Remus, you look so glowy. And I instantly was like, the Jesus-like Kemi.
But it's true. It's
But yeah, like I honestly feel it, and I really truly believe that the word is, you know, it's a lamp unto our feet, and I think it's the cornerstone and everything. And then what you were saying is like equipping ourselves with, you know, the full armor of God, making sure that our helmet of salvation is put on first. Do you know what I mean? Like it is the thing that protects anything that can come our way. You know, like mental health is so important. And when we have the helmet of salvation, we remember, you know, who died for us. We were worthy enough for, you know, for Jesus to die on a cross. And I think if that doesn't, you know, express how much he loves you just the way that you are, the masterpiece that God created us to be, then
that love.
Who are we to, you know, go to God and be like, I don't like this and I don't like that, you know, because God doesn't make mistakes, you know, he's the same. Hebrews 13 verse 8 says he's the same yesterday, today and forever, you know, and he didn't make a mistake, and he was so intentional in making us. And so, you know, daily affirm yourself every morning.
Daily affirm myself.
Yeah, it reminds me of that scripture where it says, better is one day than 1,000 elsewhere. Better is one day with God than 1,000 elsewhere. And I think you just talking about your daily affirmations, it's so important. Because if you let him have the first word of who you are before you start your day, everything else becomes relative. Do you know what I mean? Or the arrows may come when people chat to you, but you're able to defend yourself. You're able to have perspective. You're able to have your priorities straight. And imagine if you don't know that God loves you on that level. Imagine that, because you go out and you're literally just, your guard is down and you have no ammo to kind of stand firm. Because life is actually hard, and we are bombarded. It is, it's hard, okay? And we're bombarded with all this stuff saying who we should be, how we should think, how we should look. And if you don't have that daily affirmation, if you don't have that time with the steadfast God that is the same yesterday and today and forever, then it's very easy to kind of get blown about with the wind and lose focus. It's very, very important.
So that was a great and at times deep conversation. We loved it. We hope that you loved it as much as we did and got as much out of it as we have. We would always encourage you to have this kind of chat with your friends. And of course, you can stick with us at the Girl Got Faith channel, like, subscribe, and leave comments and questions below. We always love to hear from you. But until then, we will see you very soon.
Bye.